The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life, it's about finance, it's about spirituality, it's about love, and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? It's your boy, Cousin Ed. We are back with another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And we got a special guest today, and it's a new concept, a new show that we're going to be putting out this season. And I'm honored. This is not only, it's Cousin Ed's Corner, but I actually have my cousin on the show today. So she can honestly call me Cousin Ed, unlike many of y'all. But for some of y'all heard her last season. I had her on a couple other shows, a couple of entertainment segments, and I've been promoting her line. You may have heard some of the promotion done for the Sister Shop. And I have the actual founder. I have the queen herself. I have listen, I'm her big cousin, right? I'm her older and bigger cousin, but I feel like the small guy. So I'm going to call her my little big cousin. She's smiling at me right now. I have my little big cousin, Aisha Issah, the founder of Sistahs and Business Expo and the proud owner of the Sister Shop. Joining us today. She will be a member of the corner. She will be back. I'm putting it in the atmosphere. She has a place on the block. We grew up together, and now she's joining me for this this segment. So Aisha, I welcome you to Cousin Ed's Corner. Thank you for coming back. I'm honored. I'm so proud of you and everything you've been doing, and I look up to you. And I don't know how else to say. I'm just happy to have you here.
Thank you, Cousin Ed, for having me. The funny thing is, I actually don't call him Cousin Ed. I got a few other nicknames for him, which I don't know if he'll want me to share with the public, but they ain't Cousin Ed. So to y'all, he's the formal Cousin Ed. To me, he's a few other things, but most of all, he's my beloved friend, confidant, more like a brother. Honestly, we were raised in the same house together, and our parents are sisters and brothers, so we are real cousins. We not even play cousins. It don't get much closer than us. So I too am very proud of you, honored to be here having this conversation with you, and just really proud of how you pursue and implement your goals and your dreams. It's always been inspiring. So thank you for having me, cuz.
Thank you. So, we just had a private moment between us with eye contact and everything. So y'all just don't know how much love we have and how important family is to us and how we were raised, having the importance behind family. And it shows throughout the things that we've done over the years. So, in saying all that, she's well established, well accomplished. And I just want to give you some background. I want her to give you the background because
I can go on and on, but I want to make sure she gets her credit. And just tell them a little bit about. You already mentioned we grew up together, but leaving out of Brooklyn, New York. After you leave in high school, tell them a little bit about yourself and what brought you to creating this entity, this big conglomerate, Sistahs in Business Expo.
So, it's a long story, I guess, but I'll try to give a shortened version. As he said, we were raised with really, really strong values. Some of those values being faith, being education, and definitely family. Also hard work. Those were the values that were really instilled in us by our parents. And so after high school, after graduating from high school in New York, in Brooklyn, all of us went away to college. I went to the University of South Carolina in Columbia, South Carolina. We were all also like first generation college students. None of our parents went to college, though they were extremely hardworking and had wonderful careers that they all were thankfully able to retire from. We all were blessed to be able to go to college as a fruit of their labor. And so went to college at the University of South Carolina, did my 4 years, best 4 years of my life. And I was different. So when Ed went to college, when my sister Ayana went to college, they didn't come back home. They went to college, they graduated, and they all migrated to the state of Georgia. I was the only person who actually came back to Brooklyn. I was a city girl. I loved the city. I had applied for some jobs in the South as well as in the North. And at the time, there was no comparison in the pay. They were paying a lot more up north. And I just wanted to come back home. And so I did. I came back to Brooklyn. I began my career in city government. I worked for the city of New York for almost 15 years in various roles, ultimately, quote unquote, early retiring as an executive director with Children's Services. Got my master's degree during that time, got 2 master's degrees, actually, one in public administration and one in divinity, because I also am an ordained minister. And during that time was, fulfilling my calling, or answering my calling, I should say. And then at the same time, got this entrepreneurial bug that would not leave me alone. And so my sister and I started our first business back in 2005. It's called Tailor Made Professional Career Consulting, where we provided career consulting services and resume writing services for hundreds of individuals, as well as ended up doing recruiting services for nonprofits and small businesses. We just actually shut that business down last year. And the entrepreneur bug just wouldn't leave me alone. And so ultimately I ended up leaving my full-time career with good benefits and good pay to venture out into the world of entrepreneurship. Sometimes I still ask myself, am I crazy? But it was part of God's plan. It really was the best thing, but it was not easy. But that's how we got here. And so the Sistahs in Business Expo really is my second business, but it's the one that has really taken off the most, that has blossomed and grown far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And it's really this passion for empowering people that fuel this particular business, because everything that I do is about service. So when I was working for city government, I was serving families. When I do ministry, I'm serving the people that God calls me to serve. When I taught as a college professor, I was serving my students. And now I'm serving sisters in business. I'm serving entrepreneur women of color through the work that we do. And I literally eat, sleep, and breathe this brand. And I'm always just thinking about more ways that we can better serve them. So that's the short, long version of how we got here.
Perfect. And no, I know the whole story, but she left something out. You went to college at what age?
16.
This girl went to college. We were nervous, right? We were nervous. She was leaving New York to go to college at 16 years old. So that tells you a little bit about her and about who she is, that she is goal oriented and has always been this way. So look, I'm in high school going to her to help me with my assignments, her and her sister, like, y'all got to write this for me. So she's always been goal oriented. And like I said, once again, I'm so proud of her.
And we've been going to him to fix all of our technical and computer issues still due to this day. So yeah. But
she had the tailor-made resumes and career consulting, and that business I actually was a success, and it was going very well. And when she said she wanted to do something different, none of us had an idea of how this would take off, but we all were there to support her in every facet of it, and seeing how much that she's helping and bringing sisters together. And on this show, I call them queens, but bringing sisters together has been so inspiring to see that I called them one day and said, this upcoming season, I want to do a segment. I want to do a show dedicated to sisters. And she has a slogan. I'll let her pronounce the slogan, say the slogan. And I'm going to steal it. I asked permission. So it is trademarked, so nobody else can steal it. And I want her to say it and then talk about her mission behind it, which is actually the mission of, I believe, I'm talking for her, I believe the mission of the Sisters in Business. So if you want to go ahead and let me see if I can give you a drum roll. I'm gonna be corny here. Hold on. No, I don't think they have drum rolls. Let me see. No. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let's see if I can give you this drum roll. Okay, go ahead.
When my sister wins, we all win.
If y'all heard it, so the name of this show, the name of this episode, and other future episodes with our queens, our sisters, is when my sister wins, we all win. And can you give us a little backdrop behind that? I think you already told us who you are, and I think that should be your superhero music coming in. But go ahead and tell the audience, Cousin Ed's Corner, what made you come up with that?
So honestly, I think it was something that I said. A lot of times, some of the things that we use for the brand are not things that were like planned. They're things that I say in conversation, maybe in another interview or podcast or a media interview. So for example, one of our popular shirts says, "I am the secret sauce." That came out of a similar interview that I was doing with someone, and they asked me a question about like what makes your brand different. So I believe that was how it initially came about. I was having a conversation or something, and I remember somebody might have asked me like why we do this work or why it's important. And my response was, well, when my sister wins, we all win. And it really just stuck. And the truth is that statement governs everything that we do, because that's the truth. Right? Like when we support one another, when we celebrate our sisters, when we empower our sisters, their winning is our winning. We have worked really hard to dispel these myths that Black women don't support one another, or that, there's too much competition, or women are catty. That is not true. I have always said that as long as I have been alive, I have seen nothing but Black women supporting each other, starting with my mother and my aunts, right? Like we saw that modeled before us, that it was nothing but support and love. And so when I hear people say things like that about Black women, I'm like, well, I don't know what Black women y'all are rolling with, but the ones that I know hold each other down. Right? When they need somebody, they're there. When they are in a difficult time, they're there. When they are, doing something great, they're there to celebrate and support them. So there is no competition. There is no cattiness. You winning is me winning. Right? And so when my sister wins, we all win. And so it's stuck. We've had it trademarked. And it is the overarching theme for everything that we do, because as long as I'm working for my sisters to win, that means I'm winning too. There is no loss. There is no void in my life by my sisters winning. Sometimes we'll have people come into the store, for example, right? And they'll see a product or something and they might be interested in it, but we might be out of it, right? Or they might be coming to get something that they got before. And I'm like, oh, we don't have anymore. And so I immediately direct them to the brand's website, right? I'm like, oh, well, we don't have it in the store, but I can tell you where to get it, right? Like go to their website, go to their Instagram, you can get it from them. And sometimes people will say, oh, but I wanted to give you the money. I'm like, read the wall. That. When my sister wins, we all win. It's not about me getting the sale. It's about my sisters winning. So if you buy, whether you buy it from me or you buy it from her, I'm still going to win. Right. And so that really is the overarching theme of everything we do. And we want people to support that and embrace that too. Men, women, children, everybody. That as long as you support Black women, you support a nation, you support legacies, you support a movement, because we are the givers of life. So that's kind of where it came from.
Beautiful, beautiful. So y'all already heard it. You heard it from the queen herself, the sister herself. When my sister wins, we all win. That will be a staple of Cousin Ed's Corner going forward. Not sure how many segments we're going to have of it. I'm not sure how many times she'll be back to possibly even host some of the segments. But this look forward to definitely hearing more about it. If you do have any questions for her real quick, I want to make sure I put this out there. 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Or go to cousinedscorner.com and across the top of the page, click leave voicemail. You can leave her a voicemail there and I will forward it to her and play it on the show for another segment of the show. So that's 762-333-2032 or cousinedscorner.com. You mentioned the store, and I wanted to go ahead and talk more about the actual expo, right? I want to talk about the expo and tell us about the expo before going into the store. So, you said the expo was birthed out of, something that God put in you. Tell us about the expo.
Yeah, so that really is how we got our start. That's why we're called the Sistahs in Business Expo. And it's funny, I think about this sometimes because when we were first starting and I was working with our graphic and web designer who's still with us to this day, she had sent me a logo and it only said Sistahs in Business. And I love the logo, but I replied to her and I said, Jackie, it's called Sistahs in Business Expo. And she said, well, I left it general because I believe you're going to be doing more than expos. And I pushed back at the time because I was like, no, it's Sistahs in Business Expo. And now here we are doing way more than expos. But nevertheless, we started off as expos because that was the vision that God gave me initially, to create a platform that allowed women of color entrepreneurs to showcase their products and services at an affordable and accessible rate. And that really came from, when my sister and I owned TaylorMade Career Consulting, we always wanted to participate in expos and trade shows, but they were always so expensive, even back then, in the early 2000s, like, thousands of dollars, and as a micro to small business just starting out, you usually don't have that kind of capital to put up for an event. But I knew the value that came out of them. So we did a few, right? And, we would get, and even we're a service-based business. So that's a whole different talk show. We could have a whole different conversation about that. But even as a service-based business, we found value in being in those types of spaces. And so when God gave me this vision in 2017 to create a platform for women of color entrepreneurs, I knew that expos was a viable way to grow businesses. But I also knew that, what's so funny? Your dad is calling me right now. But I also knew that they were very expensive, and that a lot of people felt like they didn't have access to them because of the cost. And so I wanted to fill that void, right? Because I knew the benefits that they could have. So that was how we got started. And when God gave me the vision, he also told me that it should be multi-city. And so because I try to be obedient, I went with that. And we had our first city. Immediately after the first city, we announced the other 3 cities in our very first year. And people thought I was crazy, and I probably was, but I was really just doing what God told me to do. And so the expos are these high energy, high impact, amazing experiences where we bring together hundreds of vendors, thousands of attendees for a day of learning, networking, shopping, entertainment, just all about celebrating and empowering women of color entrepreneurs so that they can generate revenue, so that they can grow leads, so that they can get in, relationship and, build connections with other business owners and potential clients and customers and all those great things. And the response has been overwhelming since day one. Since day one, we sold out. We've had to grow to larger venues. So that's kind of how we got here.
Now, while we're right there, where can they go and find more information about you?
Right to our website, which is sistahsandbusinessexpo.com. And Sistahs is spelled SISTAHS. So sistahsandbusinessexpo.com. We also have a shortened version, which is SIBexpo.us. So that's SIB, like Sistah in Business, SIB Expo, EXPO.us.
Thank you. I just want to make sure, since they were at the point of trying to learn more about it, I wanted to make sure they were able to find you there. So you get the expo and you go multi-city and you're selling out. What are some of the key things that you've learned the first year from the business that you can speak to other business entrepreneurs that are stepping out into unknown territory?
You got to be all in, right? Like if this is something that you're really passionate about, if you believe that God has called you to start this business or create this brand, you have to be all in. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. And that is because if you have one foot in and one foot out, you will quit. Like, business is hard. Starting and growing businesses is not for the faint of heart. And so if you are like straddling the fence, then the first little hurdle that comes your way, the first little wind that blows, the first no that you get, you're just gonna be like, you know what, forget it. Right. But if you are really passionate about it, if it is something that God has called you to do and you're serious about the assignment, you have to be all in. That means that there is no plan B. There is no other option. It has to work. And that means that I'm going to do whatever it takes for it to work.
Now, one thing I've talked about on many shows is about dedication and sacrifice. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about. Is there time for balance, or do you have to go all in up front and then settle down afterwards? Or did you find that it was difficult, that you have to, sacrifice something?
Oh, you got to. You have to sacrifice. Now, you could try not to initially, but you're not going to get very far.
Thank you.
Like, there's always going to be a plateau or limitations on how far you can go if you are not sacrificing, if you're not all in. I dealt with a lot of guilt, right? Like when I first was growing this brand, because there were a lot of things that I missed. Right. A lot of times I couldn't be there for even family stuff, as close as we all are, or a lot of times that I had to say no to different things. But that's how committed I was to it. Right. And so you will have, if growth is in your plan, is a part of your plan, then you will have to sacrifice. If you're okay with it just being a hobby, something you do every once in a while, a mini side hustle. I wouldn't even say a real full side hustle, a mini side hustle, then you can kind of get away with doing the bare minimum. But if it's something that you intend to grow and scale to 6, 7, 8 figures, and more impact, then you're gonna have to make some tough choices.
Now, I'm glad I heard it from you. I find myself speaking to a lot of people that sometimes don't understand the sacrifice and especially for things that I've done, they don't understand the sacrifice. And I see other people, they see the overnight microwave success, and it's truly not there if you don't put the work in. As you know, sometimes it's sleepless nights, sometimes it's you ramen noodles and other things you have to put in, that you're putting the seed in the ground and you're watering it during the whole time, and it's dark down there sometimes being alone. Say again.
A lot of sleepless nights.
Yes.
A lot of sleepless nights. A lot of sacrifice. I can even say, growing a business or starting something like this can be difficult on a marriage or a relationship. Because if you don't have a partner or a spouse that understands, it would be really difficult. There are lots of times that my husband has had to go to bed alone because I'm up late working. Even when we first had our son, I was really a bad mom because I would be up late working, and I would have our son up with me. We didn't have a schedule. There was no need, to put him on a schedule. I should have, but at the time I didn't see one. And I began to create bad habits for him in terms of like not really sleeping regularly. And one day, I don't remember what hit me, but one day it just hit me. And I was like, Aisha, this is not good, because soon he's going to be going to school. He cannot be up late just hanging out with you while you're up late working. And I made a decision that day that I was going to implement a routine, like a nighttime routine to get him in bed. And I'll never forget when I told my husband about it, he was like, that's not going to work. Like he's too used to being up. And I was like, well, I have to try. And it has become my favorite part of the day. Like we stop whatever we're doing. I go give him a bath. We might read a book or sing a song, or, we get in our rocking chair. He goes to sleep. That is my favorite part of the day. And it didn't take long to adjust, honestly. And the first night, I believe, it was like I could tell he was wanting that structure, but I had made the business such a priority that I allowed myself to lose focus of some other things that were important. So I think that, and I'm sorry, I know you want to say something. I just think that, yes, you will have to sacrifice, and yes, you do have to make tough choices, but you also have to keep the main thing, and prioritize what's most important in your life. And those are the people that you love.
Well, I was going to chime in, and you said the word prioritize. I think another question I have, and I have a lot of business owners, do you think scheduling is a key thing also? It goes with prioritizing. Even doing the things you were doing before, maybe were some of the things not scheduled or prioritized in that fashion, and you still probably could have, did some things, 2020's hindsight. But do you think now you're growing, right? In the beginning, you didn't know, what you don't know, you don't know. And what you don't see, you don't see. But do you think you would give that advice to anybody that's in business, or anybody becoming in business, or even life, about prioritizing and scheduling? How important is that?
Yeah, I mean, and to be very honest and transparent, I'm probably not the best at it. I could do better. I do think that it has value, and it helps a lot. Like, I live by my calendar, but I still mess up sometimes. Prime example tonight, right? Like, this was on my calendar, but it got on my calendar before we made plans to go out for a friend's birthday. And so I kind of lost track of time, right? So it is important that you schedule. There always has to be room for flexibility because life be lifing, but you can at least have that core foundation of, these are the things that are important. These are the things that have to happen. Right. So like, when it's anything for my son, any of his appointments, anything like that, like, it's scheduled, it's on my calendar. But like I said, I'm not the best at this because there are some other things I should be scheduling, like my self-care.
I got somebody for you for that.
I know.
I got somebody to help you with that. So you got the expo, multi-city. You said hundreds of vendors, thousands of attendees. And you said, I've been to them. So food vendors and everything like that. and I see corporate sponsors. Can you mention some of your corporate sponsors?
Yeah, sure. We've been really blessed. But sponsorship is always something that we are working on. Like I literally every single day am building those relationships and trying to secure those dollars again for our sisters. But we've had, sponsors like Chase and Verizon, Square, Goldman Sachs, Valley National Bank, which is a bank in the Northeast, Truist, which is a bank in the South. A few we've had some good ones, and I must mention that we've also had a lot of support from other Black women-owned brands. Mm-hmm. So brands like Pearls, Miss Jessie's, have really come on board and supported us in a lot of ways, and so we're grateful for them as well.
Well, right here at this point, I wanted to speak on that and say that if anybody wanted to reach out to you to become a vendor, become a sponsor, or may have connections with some sponsors, how would they reach out to you outside of reaching the Cousin Ed's Corner? But on their website, how can they actually reach out to you? What links and how can they help you in any way?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, which is sibexpo.us, you'll actually see a tab for sponsorship. You can click on that tab and there's an inquiry form to complete to learn more about our sponsorship opportunities. And if you're interested in being a vendor, there's a tab that says participate. And you can click on that tab and you'll find the vendor application, both for the expos and the store. You'll also find the application to be a speaker, to be a volunteer, to be a press or media partner, and things like that.
Perfect. So speaking of speakers, let's talk about some of your speakers. I know there are some famous names out there. Can you name drop some names out there so people can know who's been around, who you've been brushing shoulders with?
Oh boy. Yes, I will share some names, but I will say though, just kind of as a, as a preface to preface this, which is that we never intended to be a celebrity event. Mm-hmm. It was not part of what I thought our experiences would look like. It was nothing that I ever thought would happen, to be very honest. When we were thinking about who might be the speakers for our very first expo, the very first one ever, I reached out to someone who was notable, but not necessarily a celebrity. Mm-hmm. And that notable person came with a celebrity and asked if that celebrity could also be on the ticket. And I'm like, sure. If we can afford them. And so it worked out and that celebrity came and participated. And literally since then, in every city, at every expo, we've had celebrities who've participated. We are grateful for them. We've been able to build some really great relationships with those who have come. And I will say that, we don't only want you to come because you're a celebrity. You still have to be a sister in business, right? Mm-hmm. So all of our, well-known people who have come are still sisters who have businesses, who've grown brands, who can speak to our audience. And so we're really grateful for that. But it was never what we really dreamed of, but I guess it was what God had in store. So we've had, Vivica Fox and Yandy Smith Harris, Cynthia Bailey, Kim Fields. I'm missing a lot. Bevy Smith, and many more. Let's just say that.
And many more.
But we're grateful for those who have come and blessed our audience and support our mission, because that's what it's really about. It's not about the celebrity. It's about, do you support our mission and can you speak to our audience about starting, growing, or scaling businesses? And so that's how it's worked out.
Well, speaking to the audience, so we talked about the expo itself, and during the expo, you do have speakers that come up and speak to the audience. So it is an educational piece of this, and you are now going into a 2-day event moving forward. And can you speak on the education part of the second day?
Yeah. So when we first started, after the very first city And then that entire first tour, what we kept hearing was, we want more. We want more. We love the expos. They're great. But, I was vending. I couldn't really, learn or hear a lot, right? I kind of took a few notes, but I need help with this. I need help with that. And so in 2019, that was when we launched the Sistahs in Business University. And so that is the teaching and training arm of the brand, where we provide free or low cost courses, instructions, webinars, workshops, different events that are really all about learning, giving you the tools and skills that you need to start, grow, and scale your brand. So the 2-day experience that we piloted this past year in New Jersey combines our university conference and our expos. So on Friday, we bring in dynamic teachers and instructors to provide knowledge and expertise on various topics that are essential for business growth and development. And then on Saturday, is when we also have our vendors and other speakers and panelists to, educate and empower. So that is how we got to that place of not just having speakers, but also having instructors and teachers to really, really, drill down on what is necessary for you and your business.
Beautiful, beautiful. And this year, this is your second year, I believe, of having a pitch competition.
So it's actually our third.
Okay.
It's actually our third. So we held the first pitch competition in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. It was initially scheduled to be in person, but then of course COVID happened and canceled all of that, but we did not want to cancel the competition. And so we held it virtually. In that first year, our top grant prize for the first place winner was $5,000.
Okay.
Then last year, the year before last in 2021, we held it again. We also did it virtually because, things kind of still weren't fully open. And in that year, we gave away as the first prize $10,000. And this past year, 2022, was the first time we held the pitch competition in person. And we were able again to give away a first prize of $10K and almost close to $20K altogether. So our pitch competitions are part of our foundation. We also have a nonprofit entity called the Sistahs in Business Foundation, where we give away these grants through pitch competitions because we decided we weren't going to wait for other people to give our sisters money. We were going to do it. And so we have created this opportunity for them to pitch for funds so that they can get direct resources to help them in the different areas of their businesses.
Excellent. Excellent. So I think anybody out there who's looking for training, if you're looking to grow your brand, definitely go to the Sistahs in Business website. Sistahs in Business Expo website, and you can find more information there. But I want to go ahead and move into the actual store, the Sistah Shop. Now, I was running the promotion during the Christmas holidays, so you probably heard the promotion on the show. So this is the actual owner of the Sistah in Business, the Sistah Shop. And I wanted to find out, how was that birthed?
Well, you can thank COVID for the Sistah Shop, because that is how we got here. In all, honesty, retail was never on my radar, nowhere ever. I actually have a friend. She used to work for the brand for a little while. We're still very good friends to this day. And a few years ago, she had mentioned something about possibly opening a store. And I was like, girl, you crazy. And I just brushed it off and never thought anything else about it. But, when COVID hit in 2020, we had to cancel our entire tour. And at that time, we were primarily an event-based business. We had the university, we sold a little bit of merchandise, but our primary source of revenue and impact was through our expos. And so, while a lot of people claim that they immediately pivoted and, figured it out, we didn't. We struggled a little while. It was hard because we had a lot of money tied into the events. And we also just had this expectation and that people had come to know us as, an expo business. And so, we made it through that first year. We did eventually pivot to a virtual conference, which was amazing. It blew me away. It was I think I underestimated how great it could be. But there was still something missing, obviously, because you have to have attended one of our experiences to really get what I'm saying. But there's just something about being in that room. The energy is electric. And so, when we were moving into 2021 and things didn't seem to be, getting a whole lot better in terms of the pandemic, we weren't really sure what we were going to do. And I remember one night I was up late and it was after midnight and I was just kind of on the computer, doing some work, and I was nearly in tears, just worried about the future of the brand because we could not continue to sustain in the way that we were with the limited revenue. And I just felt like we had let so many people down because they depended on our events as a part of their revenue. And you kept hearing about all the businesses that were closing, all the small Black-owned businesses that were closing. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of asked God, I was like, I know you did not bring me this far to bring me this far. There has to be something else. There has to be another way for us to continue serving the people we were called to serve and for us to stay in business. And earlier that day, I had went to the mall. Now, in New Jersey, we were on lock. Here in Atlanta, y'all was wide open. Y'all ain't never really shut down. Y'all shut down for a week. Y'all did not have the same pandemic we had up north. But in New York, New Jersey, they were not playing no games. Everything was shut down. But in January of 2021, things had slightly started to open back up. And one of the first things that opened back up was the malls. Mm-hmm. Restaurants were still closed to, sit down service. Bars were still closed. But the malls had started to open back up. Mm-hmm. So I was tired of being in the house. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just go to this mall. It was a new mall in New Jersey that it had opened before the pandemic, but never really got to finish opening because the pandemic happened. So I had never been. So I was like, oh, this is a good time. Let me go to that mall and just check it out. So I went to that mall. It's called American Dream. I went there, and when I walked inside, I was blown away because the mall was packed. Mm. I had never seen that many people in a space since COVID started. Okay. Because there had been no more crowds. There was no more gatherings. There was no more. And I was like, yo, this is where everybody is. I was like, there's nowhere else for them to go. Mm-hmm. They can't go to the restaurant. They can't go to the movies. This is the new outlet. This is the new hangout. So that night when I was having my talk with God and just what should we do? And he spoke to me and was like, check out the mall. So I began researching the malls in the area. I just Googled them, looked them up. I remember when I went to the mall that day, of course, a lot of stores were shut down, were vacant. So I started sending messages. I went to all the malls in the Jersey area where I was, and I just started sending emails. When you go to the website, you go to leasing or whatever. I started sending messages. I was like, hey, I own this business. We're looking at possibly opening a store, blah, blah, blah. And even as I was sending the messages, I didn't believe that it was going to happen. But I was like, I'm going to just send them. I'm going to just send these messages. So I sent the messages, shut down my laptop, went to bed. The next morning, 9 a.m., I kid you not, my phone rings. And it was a leasing agent from Jersey Gardens Mall, the mall that we have the store in now. He asked me more about what I wanted to do. I told him about this concept and this idea, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, I have a space that I think might work. Do you want to see it? So sure. But I think he was like, there was just the scheduling. It was going to be about a week before I could see it. Oh, there was a tenant in it and they were getting out.
Okay.
So from that time, that week's time, I had heard back from about 3 more of the other malls that I have reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up seeing a couple of different spaces, and long story short, we signed a lease in February of 2021, and we opened our doors on April 2nd for the Sistah Shop. I had everything. For the Sistah Shop in Jersey Gardens Mall in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And the rest is history. I still never imagined that it would become what it has become. I really be lowballing God. I really be underestimating him. And every time he like, girl, you tripping. Like, you here and I'm here. So, I mean, y'all can't see me, but I'm down here. He way up here. And so when we first opened, we had 45 stores. We had 45 brands in the store. I thought I was doing something. I was like, wow, we had to cut off applications because we literally had hundreds in the queue. And now today we have over 150. I can also mention that when we were opening, I was trying to figure out, well, how am I going to pay for this? Because I'm broke. We haven't had no expos for a year. I literally had, I don't even know, maybe $5,000 in the bank, if that. And God was like, do a crowdfund campaign. Everybody else doing them. You've given to some of them. So we didn't have a whole lot of time, but I figured it out. We did a crowdfund campaign. Our goal was 30K in 30 days. We came close. We didn't quite meet it, but we came close. And I'm grateful for everybody who supported that campaign. Oh my God, it just brings tears to my eyes because so many people gave, believing in my dream. But anyway, and we opened our doors April 2nd. And we have 10x'd our brand over the last 2 years. I went from about 3 contractors to anywhere upwards of 15 W-2 employees. My first real job was in the grocery store down the street from my house. I was packing bags, just paid off the books. But my first real job where taxes were taken out was at the Manhattan Mall in New York City. And the fact that I was able to open a store and employ people in a mall was a full 360, a full circle moment, I should say. Because I never imagined that I'd be able to do something like that. So it's been nobody but God that has opened every door and made every way for us to do what we've been able to do. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Well, I'll step in right here. Whoever was out here who's listening to Cousin Ed's Corner, I just did something on TikTok about this, about having the faith of a mustard seed. And we can underestimate God, but he is so perfect in what he has in store for us. So you must remember that he is so perfect. When you look out and you see the daylight, you see the sun, and you come out of darkness, he's just so perfect. And this story right here just tell you how perfect God is. So it's inspiring to me. I know it personally, and even hearing some parts of this, it still touches me. But God has a place. He's touched you in so many ways and has something continued success for you and special blessing on your life. And for you to be a minister, also being able to speak his word, he's also fulfilling his promise to you in so many ways. So I just want to make sure I mention that. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I want to bring her back so she could talk about some other things, but I wanted y'all to know who she was. I want y'all to find out more about her, find out more about her brand. But I want to bring her back for some educational pieces, some practical pieces to help y'all with some of your questions and some of your comments. So definitely reach out, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Send me a text or go to cousinedscorner.com. leave a voicemail. Of course, top of the page, hit voicemail, leave a voicemail, and I definitely will forward it to her and play it on the next episode. But Aisha, I'm so proud of you. I thank you for allowing me to even take on this task, take on what God placed in me to do this, to give back to the sisters, give back to the queens. There's so many of y'all out there doing so many positive things. And I've always felt this way when My Sistah Wins. And it's funny that you branded it, but when My Sistah wins, we all win. And I see that in you, but throughout the country. And especially when I came to Atlanta, I've seen it so much. I was like, y'all doing some big things, and I'm proud of y'all, and I'm proud of you. And for everybody who's going to be part of this this segment, they have some big shoes to fill following you. So I definitely will lean on you to bring them back and introduce them to you, and have, maybe have a forum that they can talk to you on. So definitely leave a voicemail. Any closing words and any things for the audience? Anything for the block?
Again, well, first of all, thank you, of course. Not just for today, but for the ways that you've supported my dream since the very beginning. I've always told people that my family has been really the backbone of this business. When I couldn't afford to pay anybody, they came. They bought their own plane tickets. They traveled around the country with me to make sure that this was a success. And I will forever sing their praises, because you hear all the time about folks talking about you can't work with family. And that is not my testimony. My family has been there every step of the way, including you. So thank you. Thank you. And, my encouragement is, or my closing remarks, I guess, would be to not give up, right? Like, you are going to get disappointed. You're going to get a lot of no's in whatever you're pursuing, whether it's a business, a career goal. You're going to get disappointed. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get tired. It's okay to take a break, but don't give up, because what God has placed inside of you has a purpose, and no one else can fulfill it but you. There are people who are waiting for you to do what God called you to do. Their destiny is dependent upon you fulfilling your assignment. And so I encourage you to keep going. Find your support system, your village. It could be one person. It could be a group of people. Don't feel like you have to take this journey alone. It could be the Sisters in Business community. We are launching a membership later this month that you'll be able to have access to all of our courses, mentorship, coaching, all of that. Find a village that can support you on this journey so that you don't feel like you're alone. But most of all, do not give up and allow God to direct your path, because His plan is the master plan, and you will win. So I look forward to, just continuing to support Cousin Ed and connecting with all of you in whatever way. Feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And let's do this.
Well, once again, I thank you. As family, as you already know, I love each and every one of y'all. There's nothing y'all can do about it. Definitely reach out, send the voicemails, send the links, follow her on LinkedIn, TikTok, everything you can find on Follow Sisters in Business. But I love you. Peace out.
Love you too.
Hey, y'all. Aisha here, founder and CEO of the Sisters in Business Expo, the country's only multi-city small business expo and community created to celebrate and educate entrepreneurial women of color. Be sure to tune in to the next episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And remember, when my sister wins, we all win.
This episode of Cousin Ed's Corner was brought to you by the Sistah Shop. Please be sure to visit them at thesistahshop.com. That's thesistahshop.com. thesistahshop.com. Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.